Hi, I'm Teddy. Welcome to Teddy Psychology. Like and subscribe. Let's get started. Why is it that the people who hurt us the most are often the hardest to forget? Why do we replay a single painful memory while forgetting hundreds of happy ones? Why do we promise ourselves, never again, only to fall for the same kind of person over and over again? Maybe you call it love, but what if it isn't? What if your heart isn't choosing a person? What if it's simply repeating a story it learned long before you ever fell in love? Almost everyone has asked themselves the same question. Why do I always choose the wrong person? You tell yourself you'll be more careful next time. You'll notice the red flags. You'll make better choices, but somehow, months later, you find yourself standing in the exact same place. Different face, same pain. Why? Because the real problem is rarely the other person. The answer is hidden much deeper. Imagine a child who knows nothing about relationships, nothing about heartbreak, nothing about healthy love. The only thing this child understands is how love feels at home, whether it felt warm or distant, whether it felt safe or something that had to be earned. Without realizing it, the child's brain begins drawing its very first map of love, and that map may guide every relationship they have for the rest of their life. Why? Because the real problem is rarely the other person. The answer is hidden much deeper. If love was calm, calm becomes normal. If affection had to be earned, you learn to chase it. If you are often ignored, being ignored starts to feel strangely familiar. Years later, when someone makes you feel those same emotions, your brain whispers something dangerous. I've been here before. This feels familiar. This must be love. This is where the greatest delusion begins. We believe we choose people with our hearts, but more often than not, our minds made the decision long before we noticed. Because your brain isn't searching for happiness, it's searching for familiarity. Even if familiarity once hurt you, even if it broke you. Because to the human brain, the familiar feels safer than the unknown. This feels familiar. This must be love. Your brain has one job: to keep you alive. Not happy, not fulfilled, alive. And the fastest way for your brain to protect you is to repeat what already feels familiar, even if that familiarity once caused pain, because the unknown feels risky. The familiar feels safe. That's why someone can treat you badly, yet a part of you still wants them back. Not because they're your soulmate, but because your brain recognizes the emotional pattern. This feels familiar. This must be love. Psychologists call this an attachment pattern. The way we learned to connect with others as children often becomes the blueprint for our adult relationships. If love was unpredictable, you may confuse uncertainty with passion. If affection disappeared without warning, you may find yourself chasing people who pull away. And when someone finally offers you consistency, it can feel strangely uncomfortable. Not because it's wrong, because it's unfamiliar. Have you ever noticed that the people who give you mixed signals often become impossible to forget? One day they're warm, the next day they're distant. Your brain starts wondering, will they text me? Do they still care? That uncertainty releases dopamine, the same chemical involved in anticipation and reward. And suddenly, you're no longer chasing love, you're chasing the next emotional high. Sometimes, we don't fall in love with a person. We fall in love with the possibility of finally fixing an old wound. If this person chooses me, maybe I'll finally feel enough. If they stay, maybe I'll finally feel worthy. But another person's love can never heal a wound they didn't create. Healing begins inside you, not inside someone else's heart. This is why so many people repeat the same relationship again and again. Different names, different faces, the same ending. Not because they're unlucky, but because the mind keeps searching for what feels familiar, even when familiar means painful. Until one day, you stop asking, "Why do I keep meeting the wrong people?" and start asking a much more powerful question. Why does the wrong person feel so right? The hallway grows brighter as Mochi slowly walks toward a warm light in the distance. The moment you understand your patterns, everything begins to change. Not overnight, not all at once, but little by little, you stop confusing chaos with chemistry. You stop mistaking anxiety for excitement, and you realize something that changes everything. Healthy love doesn't make you question your worth. It doesn't make you wonder where you stand. It doesn't make you beg to be chosen. Healthy love feels calm. And if calm feels boring, it may simply mean your nervous system is still learning what safety feels like. For years, many of us carry invisible weight. The fear of being abandoned, the need to prove we're enough, the belief that love must be earned. But none of those beliefs were born with you. Someone or something placed them there. And what was learned can also be unlearned. Healing doesn't erase your past. It changes the way your past controls your future. The next time someone enters your life, don't ask, "Do they like me?" Ask yourself, "How do I feel when I'm with them? Do I feel safe? Do I feel respected? Can I be myself without fear of losing them?" Because the right person doesn't make you chase. They make you feel at peace. And peace is something many people mistake for the absence of love, when in reality, it's often the strongest sign that love is finally real. You cannot change the people you've loved. You cannot rewrite yesterday, but you can choose what happens next. Every healthy decision, every boundary, every act of self-respect changes the story your heart tells itself. The cycle ends the moment you decide it ends. Maybe the wrong people were never meant to be your destination. Maybe they were only lessons leading you toward yourself. Because the greatest love of your life will never begin with someone else. It begins the moment you stop asking, "Why doesn't anyone choose me?" and start saying, "I choose myself first." The screen slowly fades to black. Final quote. Your heart doesn't heal when someone finally loves you. It heals when you realize you were always worthy of love.